Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Doc Training web series. My name is Sajin, and I work for Doc 365 Incorporated. Okay, so today I'll be explaining about Flow, Microsoft Flow integration with SharePoint. There are a lot of integration possibilities with Microsoft Flow, and I hope most of them are using it efficiently. Probably you can integrate OneDrive with SharePoint. You can integrate Dynamics CRM with OneDrive. SharePoint. You can also integrate Dropbox with SharePoint. So there are a lot of add-ons which I'll be demonstrating today. So these are most of the questions what we receive from our clients is like, how can you get a workflow done for all this kind of possibilities? Like, let's say I put a file in OneDrive, and how do I get a copy of it in my SharePoint folders or document libraries, basically? So that's something that we already have. That's Microsoft Flow, and that's a great platform where you can actually make use of it, because Flow's business app helps users to track and manage their automated workflows, and it's a very easy to use application which is going to help you to create, monitor, and manage automated workflows between your web services, files, and cloud-based data. And you'll be able to create a flow to automatically capture, track, and follow up with your, let's say, your sales leads, or automating notifications. It's like informing your team when a work item is updated, and you can create the flows that actually works for you. So what you can do is you can create new workflows, or there are templates basically in Microsoft Flow which you can reuse them. So as a starter, as a rookie, you can start using the templates, and definitely when you're pretty sure that you're going to be a pro in it, and then you start designing from scratch. So what you can do is you can trigger flows to run at the tap of a button. So it's as simple as that, because you just have to drag and drop. Just give the links of your SharePoint or your folders. You just have to direct to the folders, and that's it. So actually helps you do the rest of the job. And you also get to monitor if your flows have been failed or something like that. So you can go and have a look at it, and then act accordingly. You also get a detailed run history report, so you know what are your files that's been going, and if there's any issues, it pops up. And you'll also be able to filter and view the runs by notification type. So these are the basic these are the main features of Microsoft Flow, which is also available on your mobile devices. So I strongly recommend you to go flip your phone, go to iOS Store or Google Play, basically, and go ahead and search for Microsoft Flow, download it, and then start working on it. So I think let's get started. So let's go to Microsoft Flow. So I'm gonna type flow.microsoft.com. Or what you can do is go to your Office 365, log in, and then you'll be able to choose it from here. Here you go. So that's Flow. You can see the icon over here. So the first time users, maybe you won't be able to see it. So what you can do is type flow.microsoft.com. You get to the login page, sign in Microsoft credentials, and then you're in. You can go through the website. That's the landing page you have, and it actually gives you an overview of what exactly Flow is. So whatever, I actually did the talking, right? So this is how it's going to be, define your process flows, and then it's ready to go. A lot of templates for you to choose. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on templates. And it actually shows you all the flows based on its popularity. So you can go and drill down based on your query, right? So let's go click on popularity, and let's see what it has got to offer us. So this is one of the flows, like you can probably send a reminder in 10 minutes, and also have SharePoint related, send approval mail when a new item is added. So I'm going to search for SharePoint, because that's what we're going to discuss about it today. Okay, so these are some of the workflows, and I've created a couple of them which I'll be showing you. Probably I'll show you two workflows that I've created using Flow. So these are the couple of SharePoint related workflows. You can integrate it with OneDrive for Business, OneDrive, Dropbox, Yammer, Dynamic CRM, as I showed earlier. There's also Box and Power BI, yes, Google Drive, and also you can pick up files directly from your PC to SharePoint. And also have a Salesforce integration. Okay, so that's a premium feature, by the way. So there's more and more, but I just don't want to kill a lot of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on my flows. I've created a few of them for the demonstration purposes. So these are the three flows that I've created. So the first one is tracking new OneDrive for Business file in an Excel table, which means basically, let's say I upload a OneDrive file in my OneDrive for Business. The next thing what happens is the file name appears on the Excel. I'll be showing it very shortly. And the next one is copying the files from OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. So anything, if I'm going to put the file on OneDrive for Business, I get a copy of it on my SharePoint library, and it's vice versa. So if I have a file loaded on my SharePoint library, it moves to my OneDrive for Business folder. Same thing applies for Dropbox and SharePoint. So let's say I have a file here. The moment I drop in a file here, matter of a couple of minutes, it actually comes in my SharePoint folders. So that's 3 flows that I've created, and I've been doing a lot of talking. So how about, probably doing a demo, so that gives you much more idea of what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead, and these will be 2 scenarios that I'll be showing today. I'm going to click on copy files from OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. This scenario is very, very important for organizations where you probably want to share some files directly from your SharePoint, or let's say it's a large artwork and you want to send it out to a third-party vendor. For example, let's say the file has been finalized by the marketing team. They send it to the procurement team, and they want to send it out to a vendor, a third-party vendor, whom they don't want to give an access to their SharePoint. So what do? Normally what they do is they download the file, they send it as an attachment. Probably they use some file uploading websites, upload it to that, because the file sizes are large, because they might use an Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop. So it's going to be huge, and it's not going to go as an email attachment, right? So they probably look for file uploading websites, upload them, get the link, and then share it with the vendor, which is not a very good practice, and it is actually a security breach. So what you can do is, now, as you heard, this latest news is that you have a great upgrade in terms of single file upload, right? I'm pretty sure you heard about it from Microsoft's announcement, which is pretty cool, and I'm sure that everyone can leverage it. So what you can do is, let's say the file stays in SharePoint, and let's say they did all the checks and now they want to share it. They probably make a copy of this file within a library in SharePoint, which actually I can create a workflow. Let's say if the file is being created, if it falls into that SharePoint library, it's going to give a copy directly to my OneDrive. And from there, my regular users can take it from there and then create a link and then send it to the vendor. And it's secure too. So this is how I can copy files between OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. So I'm going to define the process basically. So let's say the first step is when a file is created. So this is my OneDrive for Business and this is my SharePoint. Now, since I've already logged in, it doesn't actually, it's already there. My settings has already been populated, so it doesn't ask me to log in with my user credentials. But the first time user, when you log in, it actually asks you for your SharePoint admin access and your OneDrive access. And please note, you should be having an admin credential to do this task, because if you're a regular user and if you don't have you don't have enough privilege for your SharePoint folders, this is not gonna work for you. So let's say I have logged in with my OneDrive and I just have to choose my files, right? So I'm going to show you how my OneDrive looks like. Okay, now OneDrive and SharePoint kind of looks alike. The only way you can find out is how to look at the top bar, basically Office 365 OneDrive, and here's an Office 365 SharePoint. So this is my OneDrive, and that's my files, right? I have a folder here. It says OneDrive and SharePoint sync, and I have a couple of files over here. So basically what I want to do is I want to get my files get copied between this folder and on my SharePoint library. So I'm going to click on this file here, folder here, and let's see what we have out. So I have a couple of files here, and let's see if this is the folder that I have already mentioned. Yes. And then I click here. Yes, this is the folder where the file is created over here. The next step is creates a copy of it at my SharePoint site. So what I need to do is go to my desired SharePoint library. So let's say I have my sales reports, right? So what I need to do is get my file copied on my OneDrive. It has to go to my sales report. Let's say I'm a sales professional and I have a OneDrive for Business linked on my mobile. I just have to drag in my report over there, and then it automatically goes to my SharePoint, because I'm kind of lazy to go and dig in the particular document library, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of libraries in SharePoint, and because salespeople, they're really busy. They're always on the go. They really don't have the luxury to search for the folders. So what they do is, I think this should be a good idea. They just have one folder over there and just drop in their reports, and then it goes to the SharePoint, and then that's it. It's pretty much simple. So I've created a sales rep monthly reports document library, and a couple of reports over here, right? So whatever I upload on my OneDrive for SharePoint sync folder, that's my OneDrive folder, actually get a copy over here. So this is a process flow that I've created using Microsoft Flow. And what I do is I define this, I copy this link. So this is your SharePoint site link. I copy it, I paste it over here, and then I need to search for the folder. So what it does, a quick run. As I informed earlier, it has to be the admin. You should be having an admin credential, otherwise this is not going to work, because the user permissions is going to actually deny access, and then you won't be able to do this effectively. So now you have the link, and it's already there. It's accessing my SharePoint. Now I have the list of folders that I can access. So what I can do is I go to my sales report, and I have one more folder called sales rep monthly reports. I'm going to click on that, and then what are the files? So let's say I have a copy. Now what's the kind of file properties that it has to reflect in my SharePoint? So basically is the file name and the file content. So what I do is, in the box, I click on file name. So I click here, it actually populates over here automatically. And then the next step, update workflow. And it says your flow was updated. To close, click done. So it actually tells you to, okay, now you want to see it working, add a file, and then it should be ready to go. But please have some patience, because it's not going to work within a second. You just give it some time and it should actually start populating. I click on done. That's it. The flow is already started running. So that's the flow I've designed. So let's go ahead and start working on it. So where do I go first? Let's go to OneDrive and let's pull in one report. Okay, so that's my files here. I'm gonna take monthly update January 17, right? So I just drag it over here, and then, okay, so that's in. So you can see here, it's a few seconds ago, the user, I'm logged in as the admin, and yes, it's there. And let's give it some time, and it should actually populate. So that's how it works. So whatever files upload in OneDrive folder, it actually replicates on my SharePoint library. And whatever upload over here, it goes to the OneDrive folder. All right, so I have my file listed over here. So it's really working, right? I have my file over here and it actually gets replicated on my SharePoint folder. So that's the first flow that I've created. So basically copying files between OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. So I've actually done it right now. So what's next? Let's track new OneDrive for Business files in an Excel table. So how about that? So let's go to my OneDrive. Now, what I've done is I have created a Excel. It says list of files, SharePoint, OneDrive. Now, let's say this is a perfect scenario for knowledge-based management team. What they can do is, once a file is being, let's say I have uploaded a file in my OneDrive folder. Now I need to track. Let's go ahead and click on track OneDrive for business files in an Excel table. So what happens here is, let's say if a file is being created in OneDrive, SharePoint sync folder, the next thing what it does is, actually goes to the Excel file that have linked with this flow. It reads through the table, that's table 1, and it actually pulls in or pushes in the name of the file and the location. So what happens is, like as I mentioned, especially for the knowledge-based management team, let's say have new files coming in, especially for credit unions and banks. Now someone really needs to have an audit of the files that's been entering into the OneDrive or SharePoint folder, whatever it is. So here the example I'm taking of is OneDrive for business, and let's say whatever new files come into my system, it's always good to have an Excel in front of you ready, right? So it actually gets incremented, or you get the list of items one by one, the files that's been entering into your OneDrive folder or your SharePoint folder. You get an Excel of all the items. You can go ahead and print it. So you have a copy of the list. So you have the list of files that has been uploaded into these folders. And then you click on update flow, just as I did earlier, and I click on done, and then yes, that flow starts working again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my OneDrive. I'm going to transfer one more file. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this time I've uploaded Sajin monthly update August 16. Yeah, this is the one. Let's give it some time. It should actually go to my Excel file, and then that should really work. Okay, so I have my new file, or I have got the detail of the file. It's already listed in my Excel. So I have the name of the file, I have the file location, and yeah, I created an extra Power Apps ID kind of a thing. So these are two parameters that I really wanted to track on my Excel. So that's there. So that comes to an end of the second flow that I have created. There's plenty of them. If I really wanted to showcase, there's a lot of dynamic CRM, there's on Salesforce. There's also on marketing solution called Mailchimp. Mailchimp is one of the leading marketing solutions. That's a free tool that probably you can give it a try. So you can also integrate Mailchimp with SharePoint, right? So there's a lot of features that you can really work on. So you just have to go to Microsoft Flow and search for SharePoint, and then you get a lot of templates. You can make use of them effectively. So thank you so much for watching, and if you have any further queries, I would be happy to answer them. And also, if you have any specific ideas or if you have any comments, please go ahead and comment on our video just below the video, yeah, and also visit our website www.mydoc365.com, and you can find a lot of other SharePoint videos. You can go ahead and look at them, and we have also posted doc specific videos. That is our intranet portal, which is a ready to go intranet portal built on top of SharePoint. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.